Oh, hang on a second. Okay, we're good. Yeah. Anytime we have technical issues, we always have a great show. Be back in a minute, 19 seconds, and by then we'll be able to talk. Hello, people. What's happening? We're here with a couple of beauties. These are my gals, man. I love doing shows with them. It's been a long time because they both have families and they went on vacation right in the middle of this COVID. I mean, they're out there.
Being quarantined with an under 5-year-old is not going on vacation. Clarify.
Well, I know Huong went on vacation. Huong went out and about. I know she did because she was doing the daily post, but that was, when was it? That was like at the beginning of the summer. But I saw you were planning on going a couple of places. I thought you were going to go to Arkansas. I saw that. But for those of you who don't know, this is our Soulology Dragon Lady. That would be Huong. And Julie is our Soulology Scientist. But I think we have a different name. We came up with a different name. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah,
Dork. Nerd.
Dork. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So they
overachiever.
Overachiever. No kidding, man. She's like the bookmobile, like the energetic bookmobile, like when you were a kid and the bookmobile would come. Yeah. So like for those of you who don't know, they're very good friends. They're both very intelligent. They're both very connected. We've actually met Huong twice in person, once in Kauai. And then once in Washington on a 5-acre farm, and it was a very long night.
Yep.
And it was very difficult getting up the next day. I remember that. The dragons came though. Yeah, man, a lot's happened. We haven't talked in 4 months.
6 months.
Maybe 4 months.
Sure.
6 months. Don't tell me that. It's been 6 months.
Last show with Julie back in May, and then I just went dark.
Okay.
And not because it was like an intentional choice. It was just my personal health was on fire, right? So I had
Your
to
personal health or house? Health or
no, it's just a metaphor. Like my personal business.
Yeah. I got you.
During the COVID situation was like, it was just chaos. During that time, I just needed to retract everything that I had going on for like, that was extracurricular. Not that Soulology's that was one of the first energy cords that was retracted. Just conserve. Yeah. What is that? You got a wine corkscrew?
That's a screw. It's like, screw you. No, I'm kidding. I'm playing with you. I thought you would get it. No, well, that's totally understandable, because what I've noticed this year is, okay, so everybody's got these train wrecks. Or that's not the right word to put it.
Yeah.
In other words, they're being put into these situations either by force or by foe, right? So like they're being extracted from jobs, they're being extracted from houses, families, relationships, they're being moved around. There's a lot of spur of the moment movement. I can't even imagine having families and having a business, But yeah, so that I've seen that story or heard that story energetically many times this year. What about you, Julie? I know you've been out there chasing the stars and the starships and the grid work, and
Yeah, I've been busy.
yeah,
I'm like, as you say that, I was like, I'm stabilizers, especially in the USA. We've been busy, like during election season, doing whatnot. It's like there's a lot of state, but it's interesting. I haven't had that experience, what you just described at all. I've had more of a lot of things taken off my plate and more liberation. And, other than like, I'm playing like Legos and I'm doing a lot of kid stuff.
Legos.
That's beautiful too. Like, like babies and Legos and like it's repeat loop a little. Like for me, it was more like grounding and Groundhog Day of like repeat cycle with the kids.
Yeah,
but I haven't had that burning. It's been like very simplifying and freeing.
I'm so happy.
I mean, there's been a lot of stuff too, but not like, I haven't had stuff ripped away or any of that.
Okay, so but I actually think they go together.
Yeah,
right? Because
they do.
Because I can relate to what you're talking about. There's been like this enhancement of our life's work, our purposes. Be they family, be they work. So there's been like this support mechanism in place. But the part that Huong made me think of first was where there's these pieces that get moved around, and which is like preparing for this, what you're talking about. So, and I see people doing them at the same time. So it's kind of weird.
Well, Huong and I hold different energy points in our families too, where she's the breadwinner / out in the world worker person, right? And your husband does more of the home fire, keeping the kid, keeping the grounded. So I'm like, we're the opposite. For me, like my, seeing clients and my business sort of went offline because I was more doing the grounding stuff at home.
Okay. Yeah.
That makes sense. But not that, I mean, grid working's a 24/7.
Yeah.
So so your husband, that's right. Yeah. He stays home, works at home, right?
Well, now he does.
Yes.
Well, Huong's does, right?
Yes. No, I'm married to a unicorn. He prefers holding down the homestead, which is awesome.
That's right.
Because I am not nurturing, and I don't actually like being at home or doing anything domestic. Better out in the world, basically. You know what, though? My job, honestly, is I am a firefighter. Like, my job is drama related. So I'm constantly fixing, resolving, basically trying to clear way for transformation. That really is my 3D world and spiritual world do collide, because I create spaces, and most of the spaces usually require deconstruction, require basically like all collapse in order for me to create new. So the irony is not lost on me, trust me.
So does that kind of describe what you were saying earlier? Like your house was on fire, figuratively speaking. Like, and then Julie's was the kind of the birthing part. But I mean, like what you're talking about with what you do, that's pretty much what we're all doing, isn't it? I mean, like we're having to dive into the chaos, or face the chaos, or face the shadow, or face ourselves, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it creates like this mixing bowl of energy, and then boom, we come out on the other side every now and then. Only to get sucked into a bigger vortex and a bigger mix, and then another big birth and all that. Yeah. One of the things that we talked about last time, which I'd like to revisit real quick, these energetic babies that women have had around the world, which kind of tripped me out. It didn't surprise me that has happened, but it surprised me that both of y'all had experienced it, and a bunch of people that you knew, right? Like, and I just think it's important right now, because a lot of people, including Morgan, have talked about the masculine and feminine energy collectively and otherwise reaching a certain point in March, conceiving the golden child to be birthed around the winter solstice. And I've noticed different people talking about having pregnancy symptoms over the last month, like morning sickness, and just different different symptoms. So can you just kind of like tell us a little bit about that again, just in case? Because we only talked about it the one time.
Yeah, and you weren't on with us. It was Hung and I. You were in the background, so you didn't get to actually ask us questions. But I'd be glad to talk. There's definitely a happening right now for me in my world. So I actually did give birth to my youngest is 5, but she was born on December 18th, which is the day of that the sun moves into the sky where the galactic center is. So it's a big day. It's a couple days before the
Wow, that's Morgan got the date or the period because it's been coming back in every now and then, coming back in and updating, I guess. And she got the dates 18 through the 21st.
Yeah, it fluctuates. Every year isn't the same. You can't pick December's at 18. But there's been a lot I had a pretty of my light birth or spirit baby births. I've had my most sensational in the last couple of weeks. So that's been interesting.
So what was that like?
Behind the scenes. I know. Is this where we share the TMI? So my daughter, I had both of my children, unfortunately or fortunately, through cesarean section.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, my C-section scar where I gave birth to my daughter, basically reopened, not physically, but it's sensationally. And it took me a couple weeks of integrating what was going on, but I was like, oh, I was rebirthing the galactic center.
Wow.
So there's I know you asked to talk about it. There's there's births that are starseed children, human forms. There's births that happen that are star births or sun, other suns. That's more on the, people say the Christed level or the golden children. Is that Christed energy or that's a term I don't use very much, but that's just what people talk about. That in the Trinity, there's a father, mother, and then sons and daughters, right? But the births are, some of our friends are birthing dragons.
Right.
Some of our friends are birthing, unicorns or Sasquatch but this one for me was it took a while, and I could talk about how does one determine that? But I was like, oh, it's a galactic center. And it was sort of on my human level, I was like, am I just clearing trauma from my body about my daughter's birth? Clearing that scar tissue area. Mm. But it was unfortunate for my human self because it was red, inflamed, on fire, hard to walk, hard to function as
really
person.
So do you actually have a point where it actually births? You can feel it physically or when it's over?
It resolves.
Yeah. It's just not on linear.
But I haven't ever had one that came through this a C-section situation before.
That's
Mostly
weird.
They don't, and it's not for me. I think everyone does it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
It does for sure. Your belly can get bigger.
Yeah.
You get a bloated quality. You just feel you're pregnant. Some of us feel
I know it's been happening to me.
You feel kicking from inside, you have a baby in there.
I haven't felt that, but I have been lactating. I'm just kidding.
I would not surprise Todd if you were if any guy's gonna lactate, it's gonna be your brother, Todd.
What are you trying to say? That I have man boobs?
No.
I mean, I'm gonna start.
You're open to all the wacky, beautiful experiences.
Yeah. So what about you? What about you, Hung? What's been going on with you the last? Oh, I just want to say this though. This subject needs to be talked about. I haven't heard about it since you guys had that show, and I want to find out more because from evidently when that came up, whatever it was 6 months ago, a lot of women were talking about it. I remember on the messages, everyone was like, yeah. I never hear anybody talking about it. So, Hung, what's been going on with you the last few months? Your house has been burning?
Well, I haven't been as goddess-like and birthing shit like Julie. It's more, well, as you can tell, Julie and I have a little bit more of polarized energy, which is why we get along really well because we kind of balance each other out.
Yeah.
For myself, it was more, I would say I haven't gone through that birthing process, but with my own 2 children, so I have a 13-year-old and I have a 10-year-old. And so my son was actually born on January 1st. January 11th. So it's 0111, right? That numbering. And then 10 years later, my niece came in, and my sister birthed her on the same day. So the two, we've been calling them the twin dragons because they came a decade apart on the exact same day, on the exact power numbers of 111.
Wow.
And for both, Todd was assigned his dragon around a month, and Zoe, which is my niece, she was assigned hers around the same. So both of their guardian dragons assigned around the same time. So when the two are together, they do some pretty crazy things. So what Todd was talking about is one of the things I love to do to get myself out of the chaos is I have a little trailer. I call her Little Betsy. So we take Little Betsy out glamping, and I call it glamping because she's fully loaded. So I own her on fully loaded comfort terms. Okay, people. So we're
glamour.
out.
I see.
Yes, glamping. So sometimes my sister's family will come with me. So when we get Ty and Zoe together out in nature, there are spectacular experiences between the two of them. Like I've seen them accidentally part clouds when it's raining. And it's one of those things where both my kids, Ty and Kaya, they're pretty strong with manipulating weather. So their job's always to clear. As long as it doesn't rain, everything else is game, right? So I'm always like harassing them. Okay, it's supposed to rain, clear the weather. Just, I don't care. As long as it doesn't rain.
A normal, this is a normal day.
This is fine.
How old is Ty?
How old's 13.
So the baby's 3? Okay.
So Kaya, my daughter, is 10. And my niece, Zoe, is 3.
Yeah. So she's... Yeah, there's a name for that. I saw it a couple of months ago because my little brother is 10 years and 4 days behind me. And I just happened to be reading something, and there's a specific meaning and name when somebody's born 10 years on the same day, right? And then that day, January 11th, now I don't notice dates. I'm not like Julie and tapped into the stars and all that, but I have noticed that January 11th is a extremely most powerful. I mean, it's powerful day. It has been for the last 3 or 4 years. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So I would say the last 6 months, one of the things that has shifted for me is the dragons have not had any dragon experiences. They've been replaced with snakes.
I haven't seen dragons in 6 months either. We haven't seen dragons.
They've been replaced with snakes, and I've been not birthing snakes, but I've been having a lot of snake energy coming through in dream time, astral travel, all of it. So I'm not really sure what's happening there. I haven't really spent a lot of time tuning into why dragons have.
Sounds like you had an increase in your libido.
That hasn't happened either. So it's one of those things where it's just like, there's nothing good coming out of the snake energy.
Interesting. That's interesting because we had them for about 18 months, and then I want to say what month is this? November. So about 6 months ago, we were in Florida, and the funny thing was, it was around the same time that happened was snakes appeared, and Morgan was in the backyard sunbathing, in this little nook in the backyard, and she was on her stomach, and she raised her head up and looks, and there's a snake, a black snake about 5 or 6 feet long.
Oh my God.
Comes right up to her, and
she
says was just an arm's length away, and perched up like that, and just they stared at each other for like 20 minutes. And she was naked. She didn't know how she was going to get out of there because she was naked. She couldn't get around the thing. So she was like throwing rocks at it, and it would just go like that, move its head, bob.
When was that, Todd? What month? Do you
That
remember?
was probably April, like right when she was.
There was a big snake thing for me too. I had a not quite as close as Morgan's, but I had the snake like kind of following me around my yard in April, like when I was doing yard work and stuff. Remember, I sent Hung just to torture her. That's the kind of friends we are. I'm like, here's a snake, Hung.
I was like, you're such a cow.
But so that was when Venus switched, if I can take it star-wise, Venus switched from being an evening star to a morning star. And the deity in the Aztec culture is Quetzalcoatl. That like is the birth, like when Venus conjuncted the sun, and then now we see it in the early morning instead of in the night sky. So that was there was a lot of snake energy coming through then.
Is Quetzalcoatl a snake?
One of the aspects, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's just interesting. There's no coincidences, right? I mean, so, and what do y'all think about like there's been a lot of expansion, no doubt. I mean, you see it. There's also been, well, now that the election's over, maybe it'll die down a little bit. But it really struck me because how loud the projection got and the polarization got in the lightworker community, the separation, the divisiveness, people channeling, evidently channeling infinite intelligence and infinite intelligence, letting them know that there's a good guy side and a bad guy side, and a good political party and a bad one, and just some weird stuff going on. But there also seems to be like this this rising of stuff like this, like the real stories of expansion, giving birth, the whole 9 yards, parting the clouds. I mean, this stuff seems to be coming to the surface. I think we've got a lot more people in this circle than we might think. What do you guys think?
In our camp,
you want to go ahead, Jill?
Hung and I always when you talk about when that sort of drama or whatever polarization goes on in the community, we just grab popcorn and go up into our Muppets balcony. We're the two we tease each other that we're like those guys in the Muppets show, just sort of watching it all play out, making our little comments and having fun with it, because it's just a show.
That's probably the best way to do it. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think what's happening.
Go ahead.
I think what's happening is there's the energy system that has come in for the beginning of this year, and I'm not sure if a lot of people have picked up on it. The egg of creation has disappeared. So prior to 2020, I would say a lot of leg. So the leg would take lifetimes to create. Karma is. A lot of people think karma is basically something you did bad in a previous life, and it's come back to haunt you in this current life, and you got to resolve it. That's not actually karma. Karma is whatever you create is going to come back and manifest in more. So it's just energetic exchange, right? Yeah. So the energetic feedback got rid of that time lag, got compressed.
Are you saying lag? L-A-G? Sorry. Are you saying leg?
L-A-G,
leg to stand on, or lag?
L-A-G. So it's a Canadian accent. So okay, that time compression. Yes, time compression. You would love this. You're like a NASA nerd. Time compression went away for energetic. So what has happened in this year, if you feel, and I love this topic because I kind of briefly commented on another show, where people are saying, well, we need to stop giving our power away and start empowering yourself. And I'm like, no, you know what? We're actually at the point in our energy system where you can choose your narrative. If you want to have someone save you, you can create that base, a narrative, and it's going to come back. You're still a creator. You just want to be saved. That's okay too. That's where the polarization comes from, because people are choosing and they're more intentional. And what's happening out of it, bridge in between savior-based programs and self-empowered programs. But at the base of it, they're all energy feedback systems of whatever you created. Saved. Like that makes them feel really special. Like I've been saved by this. I'm super special, and to the rest of you, and that's okay too. If that's
So what you're saying is they both end up in the same place. That basically the creator, which is me or you or whoever it is saying this is how I want to have this experience. Basically, this is the way I want my story to go. Well,
and so, because you chose that, that's where the polarization is. There's no in between anymore. You choose in between with the time compression. We weren't able to tell who was actually in charge of your, right? There was still a sense of maybe that power was outside of you. But at this point, you're going to see a lot of people that are not aligned with that frequency just drop off if you don't engage with them anymore.
Oh, I got you. And we're seeing that already, by the way. We're seeing that already.
Yeah.
God, this is right up,
cool.
right where I've been. My head's been about 3 different issues the last month, and this is one of them. Let me read this real quick, then I'm going to switch it back over to Julie because I want to ask her a question in regard to what Hung was saying. So Candace says, we're just watching a video about this. Time wave zero, Terrence McKenna. Time is speeding up. Your energy imprints are manifesting in creation faster. Lag time being removed. The buffers being removed. So I kind of saw some of this when we rolled the website out a couple days ago, and as it was happening, I got excited. I jumped on too early, probably because I still got to go fix the store, but it's in 90%, 95%. But so what happened was I started getting these downloads as I'm doing this hour-long show discussing the webpage, and what I was getting was a really strong visual of how this was all created by all these different people, you two included, and that this was now physically manifesting, and that this type of cycle would be showing itself, or pattern would be showing itself all over the world. And it's along the lines of what you're talking about, because it showed it happening very fast, like once it anchored. So Julie, is there anything like in the stars?
Yeah. I was hoping you'd ask me that. Yeah. So when Hung was talking, what in my language, what you were talking about, Hung, is I talk about that, like the Tesseract. Did you read Madeleine Lee Engel's why can't I think of my favorite book in the universe? Anyway, the time where you're basically folding the fabric of space-time and everything collapses, like everything happens in the now, right? So that's a Tesseract. But that we started this year, 2020, in January 12th, 13th was a Saturn and Pluto.
January 12th.
No. We started on January. I wrote it down because I knew I was going to be talking to them. So January 12th. So yeah, Saturn and Pluto conjuncted. And then the next day we had the sun conjunct with Saturn and Pluto because they're right next to each other. So the sun basically catches up in the sky. So on that day when Saturn and the sun came together, it was a big, I got a really big download from Saturn, and I saw the Saturn rings as like the timelines, and they were all, and then I'll post about this separately from the show because it's too much to talk about, but I saw these time crystals. Remember we were talking about that, Hung? We were then, I was like, oh, I get these like messages for time walkers. Yeah. And it had some Sasquatch quality to it, but like there's these crystals there's ice crystals in the rings of Saturn that unlocked during that solar Saturn conjunction. And it was like the time, like everything got compressed like Saturn's rings. Like the timelines are all right next to each other. And then you get to choose or dial into which slice you want to walk on. Today, I was so excited when Morgan picked November 12th because I geek out.
This is a 111
today is Pluto
2 day.
And Jupiter. What?
And it's a 111 day. And a friend of mine told me 3 years ago, that from this point on, anytime you have like 2s and 1s, like 22, 22, 1, 1, or any combination, powerful days. And we've had 2 or 3 in a row. And it's now, by the way, 111 on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So what were you saying about that?
Today's a Jupiter Pluto conjunction. And then a lot of people, especially people that pay attention to planets, are talking about the big Saturn Jupiter grand conjunction that's happening on December 21st.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Now. We all see them everywhere. Like there's Saturn's up here and Jupiter's pretty bright and Saturn's there. So they're going to move together closer in the sky. But we're going to see them a little bit less time because they start to set closer to when the sun is.
But isn't like the 21, I've seen it a few times. There was like 6 or 7 planets, the moon and the sun, all in a line.
Yes.
And it's the first time it's happened in 6,000 years.
And I'm going to loop it back to the galactic center because when I look at it, so astrologers and astronomers look at things a little bit different. If you're talking about astrology, they'll talk about what house it's in, which is different than visible astronomy. Like when you look up at the sky, seeing what constellation it's in.
Yeah.
So the constellation of Sagittarius is the Archer, and they pull back their bow, and where that bow points to is the galactic center. So all these planets are like stacking up on the bow of the Sagittarius.
See, I'm Sagittarius, man. This is game time. That's you damn right I am. Hell yeah.
Oh, when's your birthday, Todd?
December 9th.
December
9th. 1:11
big day too. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot to talk about what Huong was talking about. There's something, and then the polarity of it, because Saturn and Jupiter have vastly different energies ascribed to them. Saturn's like the taskmaster, like where's your responsibility? Are you getting your shit done? How are you doing? That kind of thing. And Jupiter is like, let's party and dance.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jupiter's my planet, man. It's like let's party. And, everybody chill. Everybody wearing chung.
It's a big deal. So it's like the unified field.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that, but I'm gonna go back to Huong. And so, like, where did you get this intel? And regardless of that, I know you get stuff all the time. What have you been getting, for the last month or so?
Well, I would say my biggest teacher is because I interact with the public every single day.
Yeah,
it's very exhausting. One of the things is so in my role, I often do problem solve. That's kind of the core skill set that is required to do my role successfully. And one of the things I used to thrive on is basically solving problems and challenging situations with challenging people. That's actually one of my skill sets. And every time I engaged in a situation where the person across from me, I can feel their energies out of alignment and they set me up to fail. I can feel that. Usually I find that super sexy. And I'm like, yes, I will go and change that bitch around. But no, not lately.
What happens lately?
I just get that bitch splattered all over my face and it's not for me. So what I've learned is that if you are in a situation where you're not in alignment of energy, we're not talking about problems or anything like that, you are going to get so much friction, immediate feedback to disengage. Remember I talked about the lag in time and compression? It used to take us years, sometimes lifetimes, to learn that maybe that person, that interaction is not so great for you. Now it's immediate. It's like instant.
I get that. Yeah, I get that. I see evidence of that. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just like the child when you're learning that the stove is hot. You put your hand on it, it's hot. Yeah. It's immediately you take your hand off. So that's what the energetic feedback. If you're not in alignment with another person, and it's usually a person, it's not even about experiences. If you're not in alignment with another person, you're going to get immediate feedback right off the bat.
And it seems like one of the things that I've noticed is like you don't have to say anything. Like we normally would go and say, hey, da 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 and da 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 da, and engage it in some way.
Yeah.
But I just started experimenting with this like a few months ago as I was learning to keep my mouth shut because it was working better. Then I started to notice like people will bring something to me and say, hey, so and so did this and so did that, and I'm just like, none of my fucking business, And what happens is it all works out. Like I don't know if it's telepathy, intuition, or if it's tied into this time thing you're talking about, collapse or whatever.
Well, I think what it is as soon as you recognize that it's not your shit, that you can't save them, you can't fix them, as soon as you acknowledge that, then it neutralizes your experience with them and you don't get entangled with it. So it automatically
entangled.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing for me is every day I'm taught with so many different clients and customers that if I do that, if I go in and they're being difficult right off the bat and they're putting, the other thing is if people are coming in to your life and they're putting up limitations, they're giving you exact expectations of how you need to interact with them, that should be because
do you have a stereo in your shop?
Like no, yeah, why?
You should play that song by Kendrick Lamar. Like when they walk in for a meeting, it'll be like, bitch, don't kill my vibe. Bitch, don't kill my life.
But it's one of those things where it's just like, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So if you're coming into, like I said, it's about entanglement. What is yours? It's in alignment. If it's not in alignment, you're going to
and some of it, but some of it I've noticed, and I think it's the same pattern. Is like some of it is like you said, okay, I'm not going to go fix that. It also looks like this. Somebody comes at you wanting something They may not even be
Yeah.
conscious of it, agenda, this and
Yeah.
that. And you, same thing, you just don't engage it. You
But
you
it's
don't
not
go
even
say, hey, you're doing this. And yeah.
It's
Yeah,
one of
it's
the
not even about
benefits.
agenda. I would say it's about
Julie?
limitations. If someone comes in and puts limits on you,
Yeah.
whether that be like expectations or you can say agendas, they put limits on you, on your creative process and flow. That energetic feedback is just like, again, you're going to get some strangulation in there. So if you think of it like, and you're powering up through full of water, and someone comes in and limits you and puts a kink in that hose is going to explode. So that's what the energy form is. People can't engage and collaborate with limitations anymore. If a client approaches me and tells me, I need this project delivered for this budget, this timeline, and you have to behave like that, forget it. I'm going the other direction. Because those limitations in this world right now in energy, the energy is so limitless. You have to trust and surrender to the flow that is beyond what our human brain can even think of,
So Julie, is there now I get the thing about astronomy is one thing, astrology the other, but is there anything in what we're viewing or what in any regard to include personal intel that can kind of kind of aligns with what she's talking about, like that validates what she's talking about, because it feels very right.
It feels very right to me too. I was going to say it's not about stars, but one of the feedback mechanisms that we've been gifted with this year with coronavirus, and I don't know what it's like where you guys live, but Massachusetts is still pretty limited. Like we're basically with our families, right? Like you have to. The gift of that is that you just feel your own field, and then when there's something that doesn't resonate, it's like you can't even. You just can't even sit with it, right? What Huong was describing, it's like you have no tolerance for it, right? So the wise thing is just to back away and move, because we've had such a gift of getting some clarity in the field and less influences. That's not an astrological or astronomical answer.
No, I said anything.
Yeah, but that's the gift of this year. We all had that 2020, clear vision and insight. It has been I'll say stripped away, all that burning down the house and the external things, the chatter has been all stripped away in a lot of ways. I mean, it's still loud as can be, as out there, but it takes so much work anyway to either make a play date for the kids or to go see a friend and actually do something, that you're really selective of your time, your energy, your space, and what you want in it and don't want in it. And then when you do go see something, it's like, oh, why did I it's just you get I agree with that instant feedback.
Yeah, and I wonder if one of those, let's see, how does this tie in? Because I was getting screamed at. That doesn't happen very often. I was like, when you were talking about that on this subject. But I wonder if that is tied into the choices that we've made, let's just say, the choices that we've made that are being taken off the table because they are limiting in themselves, such as this. This is just a quick example. Last night, I tuned in on YouTube because I had a really bummy day, and I thought I'm just going to sit here and chill and cry in my beer, and I was floating around YouTube, and I was really shocked because I like to check in at Project Camelot every now and then just to see what they're doing, just to see what I can pick up on. I don't ever watch the whole video, but I was amazed because Carrie Cassidy was doing a 1/11/11 update. And I was amazed. I hadn't checked in a while. I hadn't checked in since the election. And I was amazed at how quick she jumped into, and I'm not knocking her because I respect what she does, but she jumped right into, they stole the election and the queue's still there and the White House. And I thought, wow, that's interesting, because I've watched this person and other platforms be more open and say, well, this could be happening. And I thought, wow. And I think when you were talking, that popped in my head for a reason, because I think these types of false narratives, which, let's face it, they all are, but the one true timeline are falling away. And that's kind of like what's happening with us. Our masks are falling away and you're standing there buck naked going, okay, now what do I have? Right.
Yeah, one of my roles for the U.S. election was to hold the space of neutrality about it completely. And not that I personally didn't care, like not that it doesn't really matter who wins. And it doesn't, they're just the same wings. They're two different things, same bird. And it was kind of fun in my troublemaker capacity of like, that was not a popular opinion with anybody.
I totally agree with that. That's exactly.
Unified field. It's like, it's you're because this ties into what Huong was saying. Because if you pin your expectations or your happiness or your power on somebody else winning something outside of you or doing something outside of you, you're giving away your personal power, right? So it's like, I'm going to make, as long, we all have the same wants and needs, right? Like, can we feed our kids? Can we like lay our head down at night where there's a safe place to be? Can we have like cozy experiences and, feel love with other people? And like, everybody wants that, so it's like, it's been just interesting to watch how polarized, like it got to the extreme of it. And then for me, what I'll just throw it in there because it's like my obsession this week is I live here in Massachusetts. So this is the 400th anniversary of when the Pilgrims landed in the United States. And there's something to it to me, that whole, the election cycle and the polarity, the whole immigrant and, like different viewpoints, but then with the whole rebirth of the nation, that's a lot of people have been birthing like this new, we'll say United States, but it's North America grid work of integrated connections.
But it would make sense like that's being replicated, right? Like, okay, so like what you said about didn't matter who won. Franco came on 2 weeks before the election. He checked in with his energy complex, and they said the same thing. You guys haven't chosen who you want to win. They're both going to end up at the same place.
Yeah.
And his intel was 2 to 3 years from now, this will all be deconstructed, and we'll be not governed, but we'll be led by councils with a feminine presence. So that was to me very encouraging.
Yeah, well, it's a microcosm. Since we're here, can we talk Wax Galactic Council and like Light Council? Whether it's pilgrims on a Mayflower boat or United States citizens voting in an election, it's all microcosms for galactic councils that we're all on and part of. And Spaceship Earth, maybe the United States is like a microcosm of when all the different starseeds and races came in, like this planet, for the whole planet, we're the melting pot, as it were, in the galaxy.
Do you think that we're, without diminishing anything, because I believe the human is a hero. This experience is extraordinary, unique. Do you think we're up there? Like this is our laboratory. Like we're in the petri dishes. The higher selves puts us in the petri dish. We go on these consciousness expanding missions. I mean, sometimes I feel like we just pop in and pop out. Like I don't know. Are
you saying, are we a cosmic joke? Yes, we are a cosmic joke. So I think on this dimension, it's those that were so bored, like living out these perfect lives, whatever perfect is, because they have all the information. Perfection just means that you have all the information. We don't have all the information. So we're kind of like just shooting life on like half information and then creatively kind of limping along, wondering why. Are we suffering? Are we happy? How come we're not content? We're on just this constant wavelength of trying to achievement. But there is a lot of creative solutions out of that. And I think for us, a lot of people take this dimension a little bit too seriously, and they lose the main theme of this dimension, which is just creation. And there's no judgment in it. You can be a heroin addict. You can go and like sell your body for sex, all good. You could be a hater. In this dimension, all of those roles are available, and they're super fun, right? So if you want to be Todd Medina, savior of humanity, and help
right. No, it was the other ones. It was the heroin selling my body thing.
So, but the funny thing about this dimension is it's part-time. I don't think a lot of people understand that. So we have part-time investment in this dimension. When we are actually asleep, we're in other dimensions creating in a more full-time capacity. So that's why this dimension is so unstable and feels wobbly.
But I wonder why. I wonder why we're so conscious here. Like, because when we're awake, it feels like this is like, you know, almost our full consciousness. Like, we know we're multidimensional. We know we have dream state. We have lucid dreams. And I agree with you. I feel like what goes on when I'm asleep is like, you know, if I had to just, like, I'd say like 75, 80% of my energy expelled daily, like, and sometimes even more than that. But it feels like that we're here all the time. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Don't you feel like this is kind of like our side hustle? And you don't,
that's what I'm saying.
You have no memory of what you're really.
That's what I'm saying. To me, it's like, okay, let me just give it. So me, Julian, Hung, and Morgan.
It's like our passion project. We don't get paid well in it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so like,
fun.
I see this. Morgan and I live on this spaceship. She's the commander, and I'm the priest. And we have this 2-story apartment loft thing. It's very sexy and hot. So I say to her, hey, you want to go down to the little Star Wars bar and have one of those blue funny drinks with the little dragons in it, and we meet you two down there for happy hour, right? So we pound a few of those blue things, and then this little console comes out, like you see at the restaurants now, where you can pay everything with, right? You know. And this little console comes out. Okay, where are we at? Almost like I don't say a game because I don't want to take away, but a project / game. And we pull up the little scenario, the little hologram, and we kind of like, you know, input some stuff and then jump back on here. That's how I feel, though. I feel like sometimes we jump in here, we do our thing, we go back. You know, like it's almost like it's recreation. You know.
Yeah, it's totally a side hustle. And the reason why I say that is when my dad was younger, when my dad was younger, he spent a lot of time in the spirit world. Yeah. He practiced a really high level of martial arts that required him to be more active in that world than our physical world. And he said one of the beings when he was there was explaining this world as it's like a side hustle. So for those that the whole point of this world is about play, is about taking yourself out of the seriousness of creation and into a little bit more of a flirty version of creation. And it's like Pinterest. You see a perfect version, and then you try that recipe, and you're like, my bunnies don't look so cute. They look kind of demonic. So that's what this experiment is.
I got you. Yeah.
Or is it like a unified hustle, though? Like, what other people call it, and I really kind of loathe the term awakening, but that like the awakening is realizing that it's all simultaneous. It's all happening now. So I agree on some level, Hung, but I have to, for myself, that feels like separating off to something else. Like when you say side, it's like your awareness is the side, but you're actually driving, you know, your multidimensional ship, if you will, all the time. Mm-hmm. You just like, we expand our capacity to be aware of it.
I mean, even if it's Morgan wants to know what a side hustle is, but even if
like it's not your full-time job, it's like, I'm whatever. I own this shop, but my side hustle is I have this home, beauty supply product where side hustle is your second income, basically, right?
Right. Yeah. Your side hustle is basically your fun passion project. It doesn't make you happy or stable or anything like that. It constantly changes. So it's one of those, it's kind of like your alter ego, which is what Earth side is your alter ego. So I would say, Julie, with every expansion of your awareness, you gain a little bit more of the fact that side hustle will move to more of the main thing for you. But I would say for the majority of the Earth experience, a lot of the inhabitants, this is a side hustle for them. So their main energy focus, if you were like your full aspect, you may be on a ship with a commander trying to save some other galaxy that has. Yeah. So it's one of those just feel, when, especially right now, because humanity is just at kind of a precipice of splitting, where we're talking about the polarization is actually like a split. We will be splitting.
I'm gonna go back to that y'all were talking about the early. Keep going though. I'm gonna go right back to
yeah. So and the split's going to happen with those that understand, that want someone to save them. So the savior base, and then the other one is the self-empowered narrative, right? That's where the big split is going to be. So the part is going to be.
So Todd's my side. Like hell, man. I'm your main squeeze and your fucking side hustle.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying everybody this is their side hustle. I'm saying Earth experience, a lot of the inhabitants, this is their side hustle. It's supposed to be fun.
And so I totally get that. I want to go back to the split thing in a minute. And because of the way y'all brought that in, which seemed resonated a lot. But to me, even if this is a side hustle, even if it's, and I know I was being kind of extreme with, but like with the thing in the bar and we're sitting in the bar and all that, but I still feel that consciousness is consciousness. And I don't know, like when we expand and when we align and when we bring in further and further extremes of polarity to a 0 point, when these things happen, I feel like to my bones, to my oversoul, I mean, to the monad, to everything, to the universe, that we affect everything, every timeline, every dimension, every part of me, every part of you. I mean, I don't know. It's just like cosmically connected. It's that true web. So you were talking about the split. You got the way you guys brought it in to the conversation was very interesting at the top of the show. So if exploring this, if there are two paths and they end up at the same place, one is I want to create this story of a savior coming, a savior energy coming to take care of me, and over here I want it to be about self-empowerment. How could they coexist? Would there be two physical Earths? Would there, you know what I mean? I don't see how they could actually exist side by side, but there's something to me that says that could very well be the way it happens. I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts?
Well, there's not two Earths side by side. The some people call it the bifurcation of timelines or the splits. And I don't think even Huong meant, can you clarify, Huong? You didn't mean they end up at the same place, because those two paths divert.
Yeah, I do.
What?
We do. They divert.
Yeah.
But when we all leave the Earth experience, we come back to the same place.
Oh, that.
The only thing that happens is, I would say the strongest polarization is people that don't share your alignment of self-empowerment versus savior-based. Those experiences are going to fall off. You won't have a lot of those people in your life anymore. You'll turn off the TV. You'll turn off any media that's feeding you that. And then you'll also enter a stream of information that is going to empower whatever narrative it is. So I would agree with you, Julie. It's not like a physical split. There will still be an intersect of people that haven't chosen yet, right? And sometimes you don't need to choose. And when you choose, there's different aspects of your life that you're going to choose on. You may want someone to save you in like one aspect of your life. So for example, if it's, let's just choose something really mundane. Say you're not an expert in design. You want someone to save you. That's okay too. You're still part of it. I'm just saying for your overall, you may be like, because sometimes self-empowerment is exhausting. Do you really want every aspect, you make a decision, every aspect of your life? Or are you okay with someone else just kind of pushing you towards the flow? You know what I mean? Because in order for you to be self-empowering, you have to be in every thought that's in your brain, and that is exhausting. Like dealing with every thought that comes in your brain. Sometimes with the energetic flow of the collective, it will gently push you in the direction which will be your highest narrative, and that's okay too. That is a savior-based flow too. So it's one of those ones where if there are strong themes in your life, whether it be your health, or whether it be your profession, or whether it be your love life, and you choose to be saved or you choose to self-empower, those where the intersect will be. I'm just saying there's what's going to happen where you're going to have a very part of your life where these people won't exist in your life anymore.
Yeah. But they'd physically be in the earth. Yeah. Because I'm seeing that now. Like, you know, are you?
Well, it's like an awareness thing too. Like you can go, you know, you and I can both leave the same building and go out in the world and do errands, for instance. And I have a time of like happiness and joy. Like I just have fun with it. And someone else could do the same exact path of things and like find it laborious and you know, like sluggy. And it's like you carry around in your own field what your earth and how you want to be and what the, you know, it's like we're here already. It's nothing that's going to happen in the future or later. You know, we're like you get to dictate your own reality experience.
Yeah.
Even when external circumstances are, you know, they definitely shift us around. Like I don't think any of us would have dialed into this particular year of global experiences, you know, and mask wearing and like being stuck in our houses for years, you know, months and on end and all that. But like but you can also in that experience, like some people are having fun with it and working it to their maximum, and some people are in that, you know, other mindset of everything sucks and blah, blah, blah.
It's some deep, complicated shift, isn't it? No, I'm kidding. No, it's not. I and even with like everything that's happened, I have this excitement, and it's not just because I have it. I'm having it because I'm seeing it in people. That even with everything going on, there's just something really feels like it's about to burst. Our birth. Here we go. Yeah. Do you think there's anything to this golden child energy being birthed? Solstice, in honor around the solstice, and what does that mean? No.
So I feel what's going to happen is like the third energy that's coming in is, I'm not really sure, to be honest. Like I'm not sure if we're thinking or we're actually taking away energy, so the true energy is more in focus. So I think a lot of the distraction energy or distorted energy falls away, and then just your true guiding light comes in. I feel that is happening more than birthing.
Well, and maybe that's just another way of saying that we're getting rid of the distortion and the distraction within ourselves, so that our own golden child energy can come out of ourselves, which is then replicated and contagious in the collective, or representative of what's happening in the collective. And it looks like that. Maybe they're one is the other. That's what I'm saying. If you take something like I just went through, you know, quite a few days and three nights in a row of absolute death. Like I've never even experienced this. Like I was dying. Like the man in me was dying. The last vestiges of what I said, okay, I'm giving all that up, but I'm keeping this. I'm keeping the sexual prowess. I'm keeping the manhood. I'm keeping, and the universe is like, no, that's not going to happen. And I was in this immense grief. You know, I was in pain. I was fucking dying. I told Morgan 3 days in a row, but I realized what was happening was that my feminine was coming in to, you know, in equilibrium with my true masculine. So something had to go for something to come in, right? And that's what I'm saying, like what you're talking about. And maybe it's not the golden child. Maybe this is being removed, but maybe it's one and the same. What do you think, Julie?
Maybe. So I think people prescribe or personify energies as they come in. So for me, I have like the golden child hasn't come to me, but in that wording. But to me, like we loop back to the galactic center thing. Yeah. So do you know that concept of logos? It's the Greek, or if you've done any Waldorf school, like the logos is like you could say it's like the collective consciousness ish. Right. It's like the mind, the zeitgeist, or whatever. So you're at a personal. You think of yourself as an individual, and then when you raise your awareness, it's like, oh, you tap into the planetary logos, where you realize like the whole like collective, is the planet energy. And then you get the larger view from the solar logos of like the sun, the solar system, and that viewpoint, and the planets and their interaction. So what I see being birthed is more now we're in the galactic logos. Like you kind of get a wider lens and a bigger view, so that the little mundane stuff is less important to you too. But that, I think what I see us tapping into with this solstice is a new level of being able to experience the galactic center. So if some people want to call that the golden child, maybe that's just a better access point for them.
Yeah.
You know? It's like mythology. That's why myths are all written, right? Because we can like talk about, you know, whatever, Krishna driving the chariot of Arjuna, you know, like that's like a more tangible thing, right? That's the Bhagavad Gita. Like rather than, you know, that's what mythology is about, right? Putting story to energies.
Yeah. So getting back to Jupiter, because I'm ready to party. Is Jupiter now taking over this thing? Because it's been boring. No,
Jupiter and Pluto today are together.
Yeah.
So Pluto is deep inner transformation in general. And and then Pluto is anything Pluto goes to, like expands the view.
No, he's like the wild card.
So he's not taking over. It's like a unified, it's like you can.
But like, when people talk about we've gone from the age of whatever to the age of Aquarius.
Pisces to Aquarius, yeah.
Pisces to Aquarius? Is that what it was? Okay. So this is part of the, what do they call it? The cycle where it goes through all the different ones, ages.
Yeah, the precession of the equinox.
Yes, the precession of the equinox. So what is that? What does that mean? What exactly does the age of Aquarius signify? You know, when you tie it in, you know, what does it mean?
That we're all living in the movie Hair and we just like dance in psychedelic clothes and harmony.
Jesus Christ Superstar. I always used to sing that too. Was that a different play? Jesus Christ Superstar? Jesus.
Different,
Christ.
Yeah.
Does that mean we get to wear like, you know, the clothes like the Fifth Dimension, you know, with all the different colors and stuff?
I would prefer to see you in that kind of attire, Todd, please.
I cannot do that. I'm t-shirt and blue jeans.
Polyester and shag carpeting for everyone. Huong, is that a new design style now? Can you?
No.
I'm just
if that came into fad,
not be recreated.
I would be out of business if that came into fad.
Awesome powers for everybody. So, but you asked a serious question, like, what is the? We have like 2 minutes left of the show. What's the dawning of the age of Aquarius, Julie? It's, you know, that song, you know, the harmony and understanding. It's what we're all moving towards is a place of like, can everybody allow each other to like, if this is why Hung and I get along so well, like we don't agree on everything, but we have so much mutual respect that like, we can believe in different things. We can have different energies. Like you can believe that one, say, political figure is your way to go, and you can believe the other. Like, can we give each other space to have different opinions, different viewpoints, and, you know, accept the both sides, right?
Do y'all ever argue? I can't even see y'all.
Yeah, no, we argue all the time. Married old men. I think the biggest thing is
argue. Like, I'll show her these on Dhara pictures. She's like, oh, that's just glass. You get conned into paying a lot of money for that, or whatever. You know, like that. Is that kind of argument?
But you don't get. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, no, we do. It's like friendly, right? So we don't take each other too seriously. Everyone has different belief systems. It just depends on what empowers you when you wake up in the morning. So there's one of those things I was going to say is with the shift in creation. I would say the next shift in the age of Aquarian is creation based out of love versus the last millennial. I don't even know. I can't even say how many years. We've always been based out of fear. We've created out of fear, out of lack. So the new system based out of love is going to be a lot fuller, a lot more dynamic. It will be the resonance to reach more people will be bigger. So I think that's the biggest creation when you realize where the irony of quarantine and COVID is you're locked in your own house. And you know what? We've always been locked in our own house. We just think we intermingle with other people. But when you are physically locked in your own house, You cannot go out and ask for other people's validation of yourself. That is really crucial for a lot of people. So a lot of people are dying a death because that validation is not there. No one's there to tell them they're pretty, pony. No one's to pet them. You have to do that on your own. So that requires you to really sit with yourself and try to figure out which aspects of yourself do you need to have a conversation with and clean house. Like if there's parts of you took the time to look at and you never took that shit out of your house, and you're just a hoarder. You've just been filling your house with shit. This is the time to clean house, where the true energy of the true beauty of Todd, of Julie, of Hung comes through. That is because you self-validated. You love yourself.
Yes, that's why I'm running around naked all the time now.
Okay, nobody needs to see that either. But so you need to realize how amazing your core is. And that does not come from people. It's you. So part of that process is just like you go within, you clean your own house, and realize you clean your own house on your own damn terms. Nobody is there to judge you because no one cares. Everybody's busy in their own house. And when you emerge from your house, it's gorgeous. What you created is gorgeous. You're going to attract so much resource, much experiences that you're going to love. That's the biggest thing about the shift in energy. It's going to be out of love because you're going to do your side hustle is going to be your main hustle. That's the big shift, I think, with humanity. Yeah.
Your side hustle is going to be your main hustle. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Because this new age allows for it, supports it. Back in the other one, you had to, we were conditioned to exist in this codependent, expectation-ridden, unequal exchange kind of a paradigm. Exactly. Julie, you got any last comments? We got another show in 12 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you asked about the Jupiter Saturn conjunction is taking place in Aquarius.
Yeah,
the sign of Aquarius. So there is that, like a lot of people talking about that, the dawning of a new, and they don't know for sure what the Star of Bethlehem was back when, but it's probably one of these grand conjunctions, shining, like two planets come together. The lights are going to be quite bright from it. Right. So there's a lot of, that probably ties into why some people are working with the golden child narrative too. Yeah. But it's a time for unification and embracing oneness of all, like we're all in this together kind of times.
What about you, Hung? You got anything else? Any bombs you want to drop?
I am good.
We all look good.
It's fun to talk to both of you. Todd, it's so nice.
I know.
Congrats on the website, Team Soulology.
Yeah,
exciting.
Everybody. I mean, it's all the energy of it. Yeah, I got to go in and fix the store. We had some problems with the store, but
the prices are very strange.
What do you mean?
And Morgan booked Hung and I to come back on in December, so we can.
Yeah, right on. What do you mean it looks strange? Just tell me the truth. What do you mean?
Like $33? Everything was $33.
Yeah.
I saw one t-shirt. One t-shirt's like $15.99, and for no reason, another t-shirt's like $39.99.
No,
like, what?
You must have gone in right when I was doing that show, because I noticed it on the show. And I went in and changed it, but then evidently there's a breakdown on it. So there's like 5 or 6 people that have engaged it, but I'll get to them today and I'll fix it. And and then we're gonna load the stream up, so these shows will be on there probably beginning tomorrow. They'll be on the site, and we'll just keep evolving it. But I feel like something's going on, and I feel like Soulology parallels the energy of it all, like we all do, I guess. But yeah, I'm excited. Thank you very much, and I hope you guys both know you're just as much a part of this as I am. And so, yeah, I look forward to seeing you on December. We can get in some trouble. Bring some eggnog and whatever they put that with.
Straight up wine. I'm not even going to hide the eggnog.
All right. We'll see y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.